This is the story of the well people wouldn't draw from at night. In the holler, there are 3 things you never do. You don't whistle in the woods, you don't answer a voice that calls your name from the trees, and you never, under any circumstance, draw water from the well after the sun goes down. Most folks today might call it a superstition, just a story meant to keep children away from a dark hole in the ground. But those who have seen what looks back from the bottom of a midnight bucket, they know better. Welcome back to Legends from the Holler. Tonight's story is a quiet one. It's the kind folks pass down because someone once learned the hard way. A rule most people followed without ever asking why. There's a lantern burning low on the porch tonight. The kind of light that doesn't reach very far. Just enough to see your hands, maybe the edge of the steps. Beyond that, the dark comes in close. You can hear it in the way the trees settle, in the way the night birds call from somewhere you can't quite place. Out past the garden, past where the clothesline pulls tight between 2 posts, there's a well. You know the one. Stone-rimmed? Maybe. Or fieldstone and mortar gone soft with moss. The kind that's been there longer than the house, longer than anyone can remember putting it there. In the daylight, it's just a well. A place to draw water. A place children are told to mind to keep their distance from the edge, but at night, it's something else. Not dangerous exactly, not haunted in the way a story might tell it. Just different, and folks knew that difference without needing to say much about it. There was a rule, passed down quiet like the way most important things are. You didn't draw water from the well after the sun went down. No one made a fuss about it. No one sat you down and explained it with reasons or scripture or science. It was just understood. The dipper stayed on its nail by the door. The bucket stayed where it was. If you needed water, come evening, you drew it before dusk, or you waited till morning. Some said it was practical, that you couldn't see well enough in the dark, that you might slip, that the rope might fray and you wouldn't notice. And maybe that was part of it. But there were plenty of things folks did in the dark. Fed the animals, walked the path to the outhouse, brought in wood from the pile. They managed just fine. No, this was different. This was about the water itself. Water drawn at night, they said, wasn't the same as water drawn by day. It tasted fine. It looked clear enough in the cup. You could drink it and nothing would happen to you. Not right away anyway. But it carried something with it. Something that didn't belong in a body. A heaviness. A coldness that went deeper than temperature. Old folks said night water didn't sit right. That it made you restless. That it invited dreams you didn't care to remember. That it left you thirsty even after you'd drunk your fill. Some said it wasn't about the water at all, but about what you might see while drawing it. A well at night is a mirror, after all. Dark water, still and deep, catching whatever light there is. Moonlight, starlight, the small glow of a lantern if you're foolish enough to bring one close. And sometimes what looked back wasn't quite what you expected. Wells are strange places. Even in the daytime, they go down deep, deeper than you'd think. You drop a stone and count the seconds before you hear it hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes you don't hear it at all. They're quiet too, even when the world around them is loud. Wind in the trees, crows calling, a dog barking off in the holler. The well stays silent. It swallows sound, holds it. At night, that quiet gets thicker. You can feel it when you walk past, even if you're just crossing the yard. The air around a well sits heavier, cooler, like it's waiting for something. People said you shouldn't linger near a well after dark, shouldn't lean over the edge to look down, shouldn't let your shadow fall across the opening, and you certainly shouldn't call out into it, not even as a game, not even to hear your voice come back. Because sometimes what came back wasn't your voice at all. There was a woman, this would have been 2, maybe 3 generations back, who didn't hold much with the old rules. She was practical. She was busy. She had children to tend and work to do. And she didn't have time to draw all her water before sundown just because someone long dead had said so. So one night, when the house ran dry and the baby was crying and there wasn't a drop to boil or cool or clean with, She took the bucket and went out to the well. It was late summer, warm still, even after dark. The kind of night where the air doesn't move and the stars sit low and bright. She carried a lamp with her, not because she was nervous, but because it made sense. She wasn't a fool. The well sat where it always did, stones pale in the lamplight. She set the light down on the edge, lowered the bucket, heard the rope creak and the water slap as it dipped below. And then she heard her name. Not loud, not sharp, just spoken, soft and clear, like someone standing just behind her shoulder. She turned, fast enough that the lamp flickered. No one there, just the yard, the garden, the trees beyond. She called out, asked who was there, said it wasn't funny if someone was playing. Nothing answered. She turned back to the well, pulled the bucket up hand over hand, the way she'd done 1,000 times before. The water sloshed, heavy and cold. She lifted it to the edge, ready to pour it into the pail she'd brought, and in the lamplight she saw her reflection in the bucket. Only it wasn't looking up at her. It was looking down, like she was the one in the water, and the reflection was the one standing at the well. She dropped the bucket, grabbed the lamp, walked back to the house without running, but without stopping either. She didn't speak of it that night, but from then on she drew her water before dark. Every time, no exceptions. When her children asked her why, later, when they were old enough to wonder, she just said, "There's things don't need explaining. You just mind them." Not everyone had a story like that. Most didn't. Most just followed the rule because it had always been the rule. Because their mother had done it and her mother before her. Because it was easier to draw water by daylight anyway, and why chance it? But every now and then someone would forget, or a stranger would come through, someone who didn't know the way of things, and they'd head out to the well come evening with a cup or a pail. And the ones who lived nearby, the ones who knew, they'd watch from their windows. They wouldn't call out, wouldn't stop them. You didn't interfere with a person's choice, even if you thought it unwise. But they'd watch, and sometimes the stranger would come back quick, looking pale, looking shaken. And sometimes they'd stand there by the well a little too long, leaning over the edge, staring down into the dark. And when they finally came back, they'd be different, quieter, like something had settled into them that they couldn't name. Wells don't give up their secrets easy. They've been there too long, seen too much. They've swallowed countless stones, countless coins, countless wishes spoken or thought. They've held water for the living and the dead. They've reflected faces that are gone now, voices that no one remembers. At night when the world goes still, wells remember what daylight forgets. That's not something you can prove or explain or write down in a way that makes sense to someone who hasn't felt it. It's just something people knew. The way you know when a storm's coming even before the clouds gather. The way you know to step careful on a path you've walked 100 times just because something feels off. The old ones used to say that water was a doorway. Not to some other place exactly, but to some other time. Some other way of seeing that it held things. Memories maybe, or moments that hadn't quite finished. And at night, when the light was low and the world was quiet, those things rose up closer to the surface. You didn't want to meet them. You didn't want to bring them back with you. Carried in a bucket, poured into a cup, drunk down into your body, so you waited. You drew your water by daylight, when the sun was high and the world was awake and the well was just a well. People don't keep wells the way they used to. Most homes have water piped in now, clean and cold from some distant source. You turn a faucet and there it is, easy as breathing. No rope, no bucket, no standing over a dark hole in the ground and wondering what's down there waiting. But out in the hills, in the old places, there are still wells. Some of them capped, some of them dry, some of them still drawing water the way they always have. And the people who live near them, the ones who know their family has drawn from that same well for generations, they still remember the rule. They still draw their water before dark. Not because they're afraid. Exactly. Not because they think something terrible will happen if they don't. But because some knowledge is older than fear. Some caution is deeper than reason. And maybe, just maybe, because there are things in this world that are content to be left alone. Things that don't need to be tested or proven or understood. Things that are fine to stay in the dark, in the deep, in the places between one day and the next. The well is one of those places. So if you ever find yourself at an old homestead and the sun is sinking low and someone says, "We'll draw water in the morning, don't ask why." Don't roll your eyes or call it superstition. Just nod. Just wait. Some rules are simple, some rules are old. And some rules were made for a reason, even if that reason has been forgotten. The water will still be there come morning, cold and clear and clean, and whatever else it holds. Whatever rises in it when the dark comes down, well, that can stay where it is, down in the deep, where it belongs. Thank you for watching Legends from the Holler. These aren't stories meant to frighten you. They're the kind folks passed down because someone once learned the hard way. Passed down in habits instead of warnings. In pauses instead of explanations. If you've got a rule you were taught but never questioned. A story that was shared without details, or a place folks learned not to linger after dark, tell me about them down below. I love reading your comments. Please subscribe so you don't miss a single legend. Until next time, mind the old ways. Listen close and leave what's meant for the dark where it belongs.